what made you go into the industry? Was this your first career?
No. So interestingly, when I left school, I went into higher education, and I've always been interested in fitness, nutrition, wellbeing, all of that. So when I left, my parents really wanted me to go into the army as a PT. So I kind of went in that direction, but not fully in that direction. I was obsessed with fitness. I was always in the sports team at school anyway. You know, I ran for Lancashire. I was a really fast runner. So the schools used to put me in the sprinting teams and, you know, I was always winning the races back then. So it led me into that world of fitness. So I did that and I studied that.
Did you go in the army?
No, I didn't do that. Oh. No, thank God. Do you know what though? I had to do it for like 7 days for work experience and it was hell on earth. It was hell on earth, Sue. It was like, I had sergeants shouting at me saying, get down and give me 20 because I had like hands in my pockets and I was tutted and butted all the time because I didn't want to do certain things. And yeah, it was a nightmare. Thank God it was only 7 days. Yeah, that put me off. But I kind of still kept in that industry of fitness and that well-being and sports science. I studied that as well. And then I got into being really interested in skin and beauty. And I think it was my mum's fault because she was obsessed with lotions and potions and she was always applying things like that. And I did. But I was always fascinated by beautiful skin as well, the way it glows, the way it looks on people, you know. And I think that's why I went into that as well. I was just obsessed with skin, you know. And then I went to Accrington and Rosedale College and studied there for like, I think it was about 3 years back then. You know, when we had to train for a long period of time.
I know, I was like,
you know.
Then I had to train for 4. I did really? Hair as well.
So, I didn't have to do that, thank God.
Yeah. But I think, you know, when I did my training, I think that at that point, there really wasn't the abundance of salons that's out there in the beauty industry. So I think it was like, right, well, they can work in the hair industry. And to start with, I did. The first business I had was hair and beauty, but I was doing a lot more hair at that point. Yeah. But like now when I look back, it was when curly perms were in, so you could get away with a bad cut then. so
the blue rinses.
When I look at the precision that's like in the hair industry now, I just think, wow, I could not have done that.
Completely different times, right?
Exactly.
But we can say that for the beauty industry, right? You know, back when I trained, aesthetics wasn't even a thing.
No.
And we'll probably go into that anyway. But, you know, when we trained, we had to do it for a long period of time. And I remember the tutors being so strict, you know.
Oh, God,
but it puts you in good stead for like, you know, running your own business or delivering a great treatment.
When did you, like, how long ago did you train then?
Oh, it must have been about 17 years ago now. Yeah. Wow. And the first thing I wanted to do was holistic therapy. So I had this thing in my head where I thought I want to get into working in a beautiful spa in the countryside. So, and this was my idea of what was happening in my mind. Wasn't the truth, but I wanted to work in a beautiful spa where you're looking out into the countryside while you're delivering massages. Wasn't the case. My God, did my eyes open with that. You know, I remember having my first spa job. And they wrote me in like 12 full bodies in the day, something like that.
I've got exactly the same kind
of
experience.
PTSD when I'm thinking about massaging somebody now. I'm thinking, thank God I'm in control of that now because I don't do that. But that was the ideal thing for me, the ideal job. Yeah.
Because when I was at college, we all got invited to go and work in a spa. And in the spa that I was at, it was like absolutely bacon hot.
Yeah.
And we were doing back-to-back massage. It was just
was it full bodies as well?
Yeah. I was thinking I'm going to pass out. But one of the funniest things as well was because there was a lot of actors who went from the West End there. Yeah. And, you know, when you're at college and you've got your routine of how you do things. Yeah. So you've got your cotton wool to take your cleanser off then. And I can always remember doing this guy who hadn't shaven, but I was like still taking his cleanser off, and all of
his
my
beard.
Yeah, he ended up looking like Santa Claus. He just had all of this fluff. Luckily, he'd fallen asleep, so he didn't actually have a facial. I was just trying to, the rest of the time, just trying to get the cotton wool back out of his beard. Yeah, it was hilarious. So yeah, you learn a lot in those.
Now, you know, when somebody's got a beard like that, or we just avoid them areas. Yeah,
yeah, it's hilarious. So that's the two things I remember of like the time that I was there, because it was just for a stint during our summer break. It was like bacon hot doing the massages, and the guy with his Santa Claus beard. That's my that's scarred for life.
Well, yeah, that's why I don't sort of like, work in that world as such. That's why I like to combine sort of like holistics, beauty and aesthetics now, because I can really control that now, because I love holistic therapies.
Yeah.
It's a staple piece for me. But back then it really put me off.
Yeah.
And that's why I went into sort of like more, I guess, the facials then, and then the aesthetics, because I thought, I don't want to be stood there all day doing 10 full bodies or 12 full bodies. I'm exhausted,
How
and
long did you do that for then?
Oh, it wasn't long, Sue. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. It was probably a few months.
Yeah.
And I thought, no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
You want to enjoy this, don't you? We do this for enjoyment as well as for the person receiving that. We have to be in a place of being able to give. I was exhausted.
Yeah. But
so the client wasn't getting anything from me.
Like the thing is that I always, this is just going off on a tangent.
Yeah.
When you are doing back-to-back massage and you're customizing oils for your clients, those oils are all absorbing into you. So the thing is, like, you're on a high one minute, you're down the next.
Then you're low, then you're spaced out. And, all these great essential oils, they do absorb into our, into our bodies, don't they?
Yeah, so you just got a cocktail going on by the end of the day.
So you're exhausted, yeah.
So from there, where did you go next then?
So straight from college, obviously I had that idea of going into that world. But then one of my big main jobs was working with S-Bar straight away.
Oh, lovely.
Before the trauma of the massaging situation, but straight in with S-Bar. Because I loved all of that world, and I loved the essential oils part and that natural beauty. And I was lucky enough to work in Harvey Nichols straight away as well. That was my first job.
Is this
the
in
first
Manchester?
proper job? Yeah. So that was in Manchester, yes, and with S-Bar, and I thought I'd made it. I was like straight from college, and then straight into working in Harvey Nichols with a big global brand like S-Bar. And I was like, wow, I've done it, And it's a pretty big job to get your first job in that, in that world.
Well done.
And the training was immense. It was immaculate, as you can imagine, with S-Bar. And that was my first main job.
But did you find being male, has that been a plus or a minus?
I'd say a bit of both. I'd say at first women would sort of like shy away from wanting me to obviously treat them, especially massaging. For face, it would be very different because we're on counter.
Yeah.
So back in the day when we were doing the sales things and it was on counter, it was very, very different. But in the treatment room, they would be slightly more reserved.
Yeah.
And obviously people from different ethnic backgrounds, that'd be quite different and challenging. But as the years have gone on, it's sort of softened that, where people are not, looking at that.
Because I think you paved the way quite a bit as well, because now there is a lot of males going into the industry.
It's nice to see. And I think sort of, a good 5 years ago, I was like, I felt like the only one sometimes, or even a little bit before that. And I thought men should be coming into this industry.
Yeah.
And I know it's still really female dominated. And I still feel like I'm still treading through the mud sometimes. But more men are coming through, which is great to see. But it'd be nice to see some real nice male aestheticians out there as well, doing that work.
Yeah. So obviously you from Harvey Nicks.
Yeah.
Where, because I just love all the things you've done.
So then I got approached by Rodeo. So they was really new at when I joined them, and they had these really cool products called like dragon's blood, snake venom, bee venom, and all these great products. And I got poached for them to be their skin specialist in Harvey Nichols. So I'd literally jumped from doing all the body work into more advanced skincare, if you will, because they was on that bridging the gap between skincare but results driven because of their formulas and what they were sort of like saying to people of how we can change the skin basically.
Yeah.
So then I went working for those guys, and it was a national role. So this was even bigger, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. I've got to go to London. I'm working in Harvey Nichols in London, and then I'm working in Harrods, and then I'm working in Space NK, because it was like, it was sort of a role where you had to go to different locations, and stand and sell and do facial treatments on counter. So that was pretty big. And I was only, a young lad back then, but I still did it. you know.
And how did you find, because you'd be on targets for sales
On
as well.
targets, yeah.
How did you find sales? Because the thing
hard.
is that I always think it's something that's missed out a lot in like you train in a college, you're training on like how to do your treatments, like all of the background things. But and then some supplier training is still just sort of geared on like products and ingredients where retailing's a lot.
We're not taught the retail part really in college, are we? We're not taught about sales and hitting targets. So that's another world in itself.
Yeah.
Generally, as a practitioner or a therapist, we're just concentrating on doing the job on what we need to do, not hitting a target for selling 12 moisturisers maybe. You know, so that was tough.